There we go. So we're going to have a little live tonight, John, from Outdoor. I'm going to try to invite him. Hopefully he can come on. So we are going to chat about Perennial Outdoor Living Garden with John. So yeah, please stay tuned. If you're tuning in, it should be a good one tonight. Adam from Utopia, who normally hosts the live with me, is having I think a long day. I think he's busy catching up with some stuff, but he's all good. And yeah, so it's going to be John and me tonight, and hopefully Lily as well. So I'm just going to invite John, see if it works. There we go. So yeah, it should be a good one tonight, guys. If John can come on, that would be nice. Hopefully you all had a good day. I had a busy old day today. Thank you for all the waves, everyone, and for all the usual people that hello, Valentin from Chardon. I'm going to wave at people. It's nice to see you. Come on here. It's harder on your own, isn't it? But here we go. Hopefully John can come on. I'll invite him again. Invited. So, hey John, if you can hear me, I'm trying to invite you, but it's not working. Hey Mark Lane, yeah, he's not able to come on for some reason. Let me try again. Here we go. I am looking tired, Valentin. I'm working too hard. I'm working really hard. But that being said, we've got a lot of new staff starting. So, here he is. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
You know, yeah, good. Your signal is not very good.
No, 1 second. I've just had to. Is it any better now?
Yeah, it's better now. It's better now. I can see you. I might do the same. I might go outside. I might just do the same. It's a good idea, actually. Going in a garden on those lovely evenings makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
How was your day?
It's been a busy, stressful day.
Yeah, busy and stressful.
Yeah, busy and oh, sorry, dogs.
No,
Stop it. Yeah, busy and stressful, but it's just been one of those. Do you know when you have days on site where loads of things happen at once, and then all of a sudden you've got to do the really intricate bits, and then you stand back and it feels like nothing's been done.
I know.
But
it's been done, but it's just like you're so right. When you start a project, it's so quick at the beginning.
Yeah.
And like the groundworks are quick. The building the walls is big impact, and it's very fast. And suddenly you get into the detail stuff, and it's just like it hits you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, we're doing this pond, and all sorts 600 by 600 nice, really nice, like marble effect porcelain.
Yeah.
And it's all in increments to 600, but because the pond itself is like 2.05, we've had to sort of do like a picture frame around it and sort of play around with the shape where everything still runs through. Yeah. And then on top of that, we've been installing lights as well in the porcelain.
Yes, you were saying earlier on the phone.
We use that Do you know that Night Lux product?
No.
It's like do you know it's a plug and play lighting system?
Okay. It's a bit like what's a new one called InLight system?
Yeah.
So is it 12 volt?
Yeah, and it's so simple, and they're really good, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's almost works like an irrigation system in the sense that
You can just clip in.
Yeah, how they all clip together and sort of putting in your sections and stuff like that, and you can connect them as well up right at the end, up until to a box where it can be into a remote control.
Yeah.
So then you can. It's like so that's why it's like irrigations. You set your stations.
Yeah.
That's
good. That's cool because the project I'm on, the electrician's going to do like a Lutron.
Yeah.
So Lutron is like a similar smart system on your phone that controls the house and everything. And we're using InLight system, so it's the same. You get one cable through, and you can just clip in lights in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fittings are so lovely. It's really expensive, I think. But yeah, it looks the bee's knees. It looks really good, really fancy. Should I try to invite Lily?
Yeah.
Do you reckon she'll be at Chelsea maybe?
Yeah, she gets to be at nice Chelsea, walking around and meeting up.
What's her name on Instagram? Do you know?
She might be under Finding Roots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Put a heart with.
Oh, okay, Finding Roots. Here she is.
Yeah, Finding Roots.
That'd be good to get her on, and we can chat about the charity as well.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
I know. So you're involved with that. Hey, Lily, how are you?
Hi, gents.
You okay?
I am.
How was Chelsea teaching you?
It's doing very well. I thought I'd treat you to one of the gardens that I've been on today as part of it.
Lovely. It's beautiful.
This is the Raymond Everson garden. And you've got these beautiful black iron arches because the clematis originate from China. And so they're replicating the moon arches that you get over there.
Wow.
And it's absolutely stunning. The garden's huge as well.
Yeah.
John had a quick tour about half an hour ago.
I did. She made me I'm on site on my own, working away.
With Grinder in the background.
Yeah.
Well, how is it then, Lily? What do you think of Chelsea this year?
It's incredible. I mean, it's been so busy, but I think that there is so much interest in gardening. The interest from COVID definitely hasn't dipped. This is the phrase that everyone's saying. It's the best Chelsea in the past few years. There is so much diversity in planting as well. You've got sparse planting. You've got really, really full gardens as well. But there's just so much creativity here as well. It's really exciting.
I mean, you know, as far as Chelsea goes and those places, it's really all those people who love, you know, plants or landscaping or designers. It's just them putting their best in one thing, isn't it? It's all combined underneath one roof. It must be a showstopper place to go. I'm gonna admit to something. I've never been to Chelsea. I've always been too busy, and you know, it's our busy time of the year, and just the graft never stops. So, but next year I'm definitely going. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll help you guys if you have a garden, going and stuff like that. But
well, I know it's on the checklist for John, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I think it's on the. I think when you're a landscaper, John, you might agree with me. You know, you've got your goals as a business owner, and you know, trying to be profitable, trying to manage your lads okay, trying to you know, build beautiful gardens. But I think if you're serious about landscaping, you kind of, it's like that natural route you hope to hopefully get to Chelsea, you're actually putting your hands into Chelsea, right? What's your thoughts on that, John?
Yeah, well, it's like it's almost like the Olympics, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it is.
You know, like, because every garden you do, you're almost competing with yourself every garden you do, because you're always trying to top your next garden.
Yeah.
You're always trying to. Whereas the issue with that is, you know, you try and top your next garden, and then you can make it harder for yourself, more work.
Yeah.
Whereas at least stuff like Chelsea, if you can learn to hold that back and resist, at least then you can have a big blowout at these, you know, show gardens. And
Yeah.
you know, because you're competing against other companies and.
Yeah. I mean, in some way, I can see that being quite true. Like trying to keep the yearly work quite, you know, still really high quality, but simple, and just have that massive blowout and put everything you've got. But the problem with that, I reckon, is if you do really well at Chelsea, then, you know, your mind's going to go a bit like, all right, you know, let's keep going this, you know, and after the inquiries would get a bit more, you know, like interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
But on that note, Lily, so can you talk a bit about the charity and stuff like that for people who are not aware?
Yes. So Perennial, I will actually let John do a little bit of a description. I might wander over to a different stand to show you something else.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
So, John,
are you okay doing that, John?
Yeah. So Perennials is a charity for anyone in the horticultural sector.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily have to be people who actually landscape or garden or work in nurseries. It could be people who work in sales, marketing. Could be a chef who works in a restaurant or cafe within a garden sector. Anyone who's just really in the sector. And they're just an organisation that helps anyone with basically mental health, financial issues, physical issues, anything like that they can help you with.
Yeah.
And they're just a good go-to charity for that, you know.
Amazing.
So they're really good in that respect. And I sort of joined them probably about 6 months. Well, in November actually, because they were down at Futurescape.
Yeah.
So they were down there, and that's when I saw them, and
Were you there? Were you at Futurescape?
Yeah.
Oh man, I missed you.
Yeah, it was a good one this year.
Yeah,
actually. I quite enjoyed it.
It was really good. That was a nice little tour of the garden as well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed those tree ferns.
They are so incredible. Like in terms of using them for structures as well, they're just they're so like historic as well in what they are. Jurassic even.
I got 2 at home in my borders at the back there, but they've died over the winter.
Oh really?
Yeah, and you know what? I've covered them twice with straw in the crown and replaced it, but I think the frost was so heavy they just had it. I'm gutted because this time of the year, I mean, the ones like you walk past were in full leaf, but normally this time of the year they're just still unraveling like a big octopus arm, and the kids love them. I do really like them. We don't tend to recommend them for customers because they're high maintenance. But anyway, veering away from the tree ferns. So explain where that stand is, because that looks familiar.
So, as John was just introducing, Perennial as a charity, are very much there to support those within the industry that need it. What they say is helping anyone who works in plants, grass, landscaping, flowers. They're so broad-reaching within our industry.
Yeah.
But the reason they're here at Chelsea is to raise awareness to the general public, because we know about them in the industry, but it's about making sure that people are aware of them for when they do need them as well. This stand is beautiful. So this was actually designed by one of the gardeners from the Lasket, which is one of the gardens that Perennial has. And I've got a huge living wall behind me with a TV screen explaining a bit more. Yeah. And then their president, which happens to be this gentleman here, who selfie over here.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. It's funny because So where I come from in France, my dad was part of this charity for winemakers, and it was very similar because although winemaking is very glamorous and you think it's, you know, you're in a field, you're picking and you're treading on grapes, the reality is a really hard industry because it's farming. You can lose your harvest. People were hanging themselves in my town because we had two hailstorms, you know, the big ice cubes falling down and just ruining all the harvest. And people financially, like, and mentally were crumbling. So having people say, my stepdad used to go around and you would have, let's say, 5 people he would check on. Is that something you do as well, or how do you kind of look after people? Do you have to sign it? How does it work?
So, I mean, I don't work for Perennial, but Perennial do also look after viticulturists as well in the UK, because whilst we're not quite on the scale as France, there are a lot of vineyards in the UK as well.
Yes.
I worked on one in Cornwall actually, which was my entry into this industry, which was quite exciting. But yeah, it's a space where they've got a helpline, which isn't actually up anywhere, but they've got a helpline on their website that you can call, or you can contact them through their contact form. And if they can't help you themselves, they will make sure that they direct you to the people that can help you.
Yeah.
And their help comes in all sorts of different forms.
Because, I mean, you know, our podcast is about, you know, landscaping and landscapers and horticulture in a whole. And I would say, you know, as far as having your own business, you know, you don't need to be a landscaper. I think anyone that owns their own business, the worries and the mental health implication that comes with is huge. You know, staff never appreciate it because they don't see it. You know, they come to work, they get paid, and they go home. But for, you know, John and I, or Adam, or anyone in the industry, it's just a huge undertaking because, I mean, the financial worries I think it's one of the hardest parts. As far as, you know, the mental health, I would say it kind of, you know, at the end of the day, it affects everyone so hard when something goes bad and the finances crumbling down and all that stuff. So I think it's amazing, like what Perennial are doing.
I think I just need to move off the garden because they're about to start watering it behind the scenes. This is one of the lovely staff in the background of okay. But in terms of mental health and what Perennial do, that's one of the things that they've put a huge focus on this year. And actually within the industry, they've been paying for training within organizations and different companies for people to become mental health first aiders. And go through the courses.
Adam was doing that, wasn't he?
Adam has actually recently become the mental health first aider for the Young People in Horticulture Association, which is amazing to have him on board with that.
So, and just to clarify for people watching now and watching in the future, is that YO, what was it called?
YPHA.
That's it.
That stands for Young People in Horticulture Association.
Yeah.
So anyone who's under 35 working in horticulture, landscaping, retail, growing, anything, it's a free to join association where you can get support from each other in lots of different ways.
That's amazing. It's amazing. I wish I was a bit more like cultivated about all those things when I started my business. You know, like I think it's great for social media now. You can spread the word. But, you know, 10 years ago when I started, I didn't know of all of this. Is this quite recent, all those groups and movements, if you like?
So the YPHA started in 2020, just before COVID hit, and started because there was a realization that there was a reliance on much older generations. in terms of customers, but also in terms of keeping gardening going as well.
Yes.
And so we needed to.
That's all right. Live from Chelsea, what can you do?
So we needed to encourage more young people into the industry, but also as a career and also as a customer as well.
Yeah.
And that's really what the YPHA is doing. And John has recently come on board as one of the committee as well.
John, you are getting involved with a lot. Last time we had you on the podcast, I was really kind of humbled by you're a young business. You've been going for what, less than 2 years?
Yeah.
And you're really pushing and getting involved with beautiful organisations, and that I admire. But what's the push behind that?
Well, I think I'm very lucky in the sense that even though I'm a new business, we've got I've sort of brought in people who I've worked with in the past.
Yeah.
And I've not had to necessarily go through the stresses of recruiting and trying to get the right people. I've been very lucky in, I've got the nicest, the nicest guys you could ever ask for, who I work with. They're amazing. They're the dream people. They're polite, mannered, they get on with the job. They're always learning, always growing, and I'm really lucky to have them people behind me.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I think even though it's business, because I've been in the industry for 14 years, I've sort of been able to go straight into a high-end market.
Yeah.
Where normally, when you start off your own business, normally when you're first starting to get into the industry, so you've got to build that portfolio, and you've got to sort of, not just build your portfolio, you've got to build skill level. You don't start a landscaping company for the first time and suddenly you're laying, porcelain, mended walls. I mean, when I first started, and this is what, going back to when you mentioned about 10 years ago when you started, 10 years ago, landscaping was completely different.
Yeah, massively.
And there's such, it was throw a patio down, a bit of a fence, and that were kind of it. And now,
we're lucky when you were using like oak sleepers instead of soft sleepers, right?
Yeah, that were it. And get excited when you could do an Indian stone patio circle. I mean, do one a week at one point, and you just don't do them anymore. But I think the industry's come such a long way, and I think this leads back to with groups like the YPHA. I think just the industry in itself, there's a lot of young people coming to it. The social media massively helps as well, being able to see other people's work. And I just think, in terms of where I am at the moment, don't get me wrong, I have issues like every business.
Yes.
You look at social media and you think, how do they do that? Or, you think everyone's doing amazing. It wasn't that long ago I had to go back and readjust the patio that we laid. Just because, and one of the reasons for that is basically we were laying 800 by 800, and normally you've got to put a bit more fall on them, and we sort of didn't put as much fall as we should have, and they were sold in mortar, and and it's just stuff like that. No matter how how well you can do jobs and how good you still get issues, and then that adds stress on and that adds more work on. But overall, touch wood, things are seem
that's good.
Right.
And you, Lily, what's made you, just to kind of digging into you a little bit, what's made you get involved in horticulture and what you do in general?
Goodness. Well, I've come in down the commercial route, so I've actually gone down a completely different career path to John, in that I was a buyer for quite a few years, buying plants for different organisations. And for me, it's once you get the bug, you get the bug, and it becomes more than just a career; it becomes a passion. I met my other half in this industry as well. John's giggling at me. What have I said?
And what does your other half do then in the industry?
So he has done a lot in the industry, from growing to sales to buying himself as well. But he's now working for a company called Allensmore in the West Midlands as an account manager.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they're an incredible organisation, probably the largest perennial grower in Northern Europe, I think.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
big scale.
Yeah, huge.
But like my passions, I suppose, come from at the moment, like being able to get more green spaces. I think that's something we can all agree on, and linking that in. And actually, I'm going to hop over a water pipe here because there's a garden here that does. Oh, flicking the camera. This is the smallest garden at Chelsea,
Sure.
and it's quite emotive because
Cool.
you've literally got concrete and a garden coming out of it.
Yeah. You know what?
Um,
I love that because actually, I don't know if you've seen like footage of like, in Russia, that town that blew up. What was it called? John, help me out.
I think there's quite a few that
No,
have.
the
The
Chernobyl.
nuclear.
Chernobyl.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that used to be all concrete. So if you look at the pictures of before it all happened, and now it's a jungle. Nature, if human beings would leave this planet, nature would gain over so rapidly, like so rapidly. So that's quite a nice little kind of outtake on that, isn't it?
I think it really does tell a story because actually we're getting more and more urbanized. They are building more and more houses, but you need to make sure that there's those green spaces coming out of that
Yeah.
as well, and that there is planting. And yeah, that's part of what you guys create as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I did a wildflower meadow not long ago, and I'm just pricing another one, and it really excites me that people are going that route, especially like my customers. Most of the clients we have big spaces, so trying to get rid of the lawns, so much like seeding grass when you can seed meadow and plant trees and do all the right things. But what frustrates me the most, and the government has, I think, have a lot to say for this, is I go and price up some new build gardens, and how do they justify putting that little bit of land and call it a garden? I think is insulting to the people buying the house. It's just insulting to put the house so close together, and it's just so sad. I just find it so upsetting. I get the fact that we need houses and we can't all have a 3 acre plot, although it would be nice. But I just think like we should have a bit more regulations behind all those houses coming up. They definitely. I've got a new estate just going up. I'm lucky. I've got a nice garden, but not far up the road. And they're putting a new school and new stuff, and they've planted a few trees, but it just doesn't seem enough. So that's definitely something that I think needs to change. I think.
But I think it's not like that. There's lots of different ways of doing it. Like, for example, what John's doing with the ponds that he's creating as well.
Yeah.
There's different ways of being able to bring that in.
No, definitely. I mean, same with pools. I think we lost John. I think he's still buffering. But here we go. He's a goner. Yeah, it's a bit like last time we had a call about the BBC show, The Garden, and John just disappeared. He just vanished. But
He might have run out of battery.
I think so, something like that. But that's okay. If you're happy to stay on,
I am. I've got other things to show you as well.
yeah, please do.
If you want.
Right, yeah.
So we talked about kind of like how you guys got into your career before.
Yeah.
There's a garden here by Sparsholt College.
Okay, yeah.
That's called, and it's absolutely amazing. It's won gold, and it's also got the best plant in the year. But look at that living roof.
Yeah.
You've got the wonderful people that run the garden, but
Yeah.
You're also seeing the sunset here as well, but like all of the plants here have an edible purpose, or part of that
Big
garden as well.
tree. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Starshot College have done it, and it's just, I know that we've got some of the students are members of the YPHA as well that have done this.
Yeah.
But the detail, it's just incredible.
No.
And this is the plant of the year, so this is Agapanthus blackjack, and so that one plant of the year
Oh
2023
wow.
as well.
Wow.
And it's just such a
That is
deep colour. But
beautiful.
the detail here, so they've got hops and grapevines up here as well, but you can't tell because it's all, it looks like it's made to be. It
I,
doesn't look
I,
like they're
I
tied
think
on at all.
I think that beauty of Chelsea, how they make something. How long did they have to build the garden? It's like, I don't remember the length, but
It's not long.
it's not long.
I
And
think
how they,
18 days maximum.
yeah, how they make the gardens just feel like they've been there for decades. It's just amazing. It's just
Yeah.
really amazing.
But then the care, this is the behind the scenes, having to water it in the evening as well.
Yeah, yeah,
And
keep
then
it alive. Keep it
the well
alive.
here, so I know that they've stuck all the moss on with water.
Yeah,
So they have to keep this constantly damp as well throughout the show.
yeah,
And then you've got the planting and like we've got all sorts of things in here. Like really things that you wouldn't expect. For example, woodruff here.
yeah, yeah,
Beautiful, delicate plant, but a herb, and you've got
yeah.
all sorts of other herbs. I'm trying to find hostas, totally edible.
Yes,
So
we was chatting about that the other day.
yeah,
When
like you eat them like
young,
asparagus.
yeah, young leaves.
You've got wild garlic in the back here as well.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, just absolutely stunning. But then you've got all of the, wow, it's really cleared out. It's got quite empty now.
yeah,
Then you've got all of the beautiful gardens around. So I'm in the marquee at the moment.
yeah.
The Great Pavilion they call it, and this corner is called the Discovery Corner,
Okay.
which is why it's got all of those interests there. I mean, during press day they had children singing here. They had children playing on all the gardens as well.
Oh wow.
But yeah, this garden from Starshot is absolutely gorgeous. Really special.
Yeah, I mean it's
And
amazing like how many people were involved and behind the scene. I mean it's nice for you to see it now and seeing the people watering it. And for me, I just imagine all the landscapers, and I follow a few, and I followed some of the journey of seeing a Chelsea garden kind of unravel. And at the beginning, I was happy I wasn't involved because it rained. Do you remember? At the beginning of Chelsea, it looked like a shit show, and I was like, oh my god! I felt so sorry for those guys because at the beginning, it's where it's all muddy. It's where you need it to be dry. It's nothing worse than starting groundworks in the rain, and I felt really sorry for those guys. But they just pulled it out of the bag, don't they? And you know, every year seems like just it gets better. It gets better. It gets more natural. It is really beautiful.
so I've just brought you out to the side here. I need to be careful that I don't get kicked out.
Yeah.
But this is a Japanese garden, and it is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's crazy.
It's called the Biophilic Garden.
Yeah,
But just the detail as well. They of course won a gold. This is the information there.
I think we were
But
talking
then,
about the last podcast, the Asian garden, and they were fluffing up the moss because it's
yeah,
see all the moss there. I mean, to import moss like that and to make it look like that, you know, to find it in nature, you would have to walk in the crazy woodland to find that. So it's amazing that someone put that together. John, if you were to get involved with Chelsea, what style garden would you go for? What? That's a hard question, but you know, like it's quite clear to see, you know, the more formal, you know, gardens, the more natural, you know, gardens, Asian flares, rivers, water, modern. What's your outtake on that?
I personally like working with more natural stone.
Yes.
You know, don't get me wrong, I like porcelain and I like sort of clean cut render, but I prefer more natural based gardens.
Yeah.
You know, natural, nice big planting schemes
Yes.
using stone work. Yeah, I think that, you know, I love water features as well.
Yes.
I love building water features. So yeah, I think that's the kind of garden I'd certainly like to do.
Yeah, for me, it's very similar. It would have to be a bit like what we're seeing here. You see, like Italian
Yeah,
water. I like that, but as well have some food in there, like so, or orange tree or a fruit tree. Because in France, where I come from, the gardens, they were always useful.
yeah,
Like, I kind of remember that from young, that, you know, if you had space to put something you could eat,
yes.
you
That
would
al
put,
fresco, like what Lily's showing now. It's like that al
yeah,
fresco dining. But
exactly. And you got some herbs, and you got, you know, and you're dining, and you could literally reach up and grab a fig, you know, off a
yeah,
tray, and
yeah.
that's my style, I would say. I will one day. I'd love to say, you know, I've done Chelsea and just lived the experience as well, of being there from start to finish, kind of thing.
Mm.
So, but you know, and what do you think of your garden, like you're going to build um, for Gardener's World? Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's more involved than I thought. There's more involved than I thought there would be.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of planning and stuff, and then, like you said, you know, when you're working and you've got issues come up in your own business and you're having to work all the hours,
Yes.
it's like throwing another garden in the mix.
Yes.
But I like that adrenaline of trying to get something done.
Yeah.
You know, sort of that. I almost like having to. I don't like working late, but I wouldn't want to suddenly work till 7, 8, 9 o'clock every day. But I like that sort of knowing that you've got that cut-off point and you've got to
Yeah.
get it done.
Yeah.
You know, I quite sort of thrive off that. So in terms of the build, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, that's why I've got, say, you and Adam involved with it
Yeah.
to help because for us as a business, it's the first show garden we're doing, and in terms of just like cash flow and stuff like that, I still need to. You know, my business isn't a financial place where I can come away and
Yeah.
not trade for 2 weeks.
No.
So, you know, I've got to sort of balance the, you know, doing this for charity and doing this for my own sort of personal gain, along with making sure the business still runs.
Yes.
So sort of by getting you guys involved, I know that I can, you know, get people involved who can do that sort of high skill end stuff.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I've also then got a team back home who are still, you know, ticking over and jobs are
still going.
But,
And that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, when you asked me, I was really grateful because it would be the same for me. You know, I couldn't justify putting, you know, 2 weeks on my own doing my first show garden. So I think, you know, the fact that you've created a beautiful design and we can come and help, it's really nice. You know, I think it'll be a really nice venture because that's what people need to do. You know, when you look at Perennial and all those charities that help people like yourself and myself, it's nice to always have each other's back. You know, Adam's been going through, you know, a wobble at the moment, and everyone's got his back. And you know, the amount of people that reach out, and that's so important. You know, like I have wobbles myself in business, and it's nice to know I could call Adam and he's gonna support me, or you know, point me towards you know, some changes. Same with you, John, and other people that we've had on the podcast. It just I think the community, as in the landscaping as a whole, is just it's coming together. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's nice to invite us to let us come on board. We got Ben from Broad Landscaping, so an evening. So we'll have Ben next week, hopefully, on the podcast. So we'll have to stay tuned for that. And yeah, like I was saying, I can't wait to come and help you, mate. I must admit, like, I've got enough staff as well now, so I'm really happy. So we've had 2 new people start. A young guy who's doing level 3 horticulture at Capel Manor, a good horticultural school, and it's just going to allow me to stress a bit less about coming over as well. We'll have a call tomorrow as well about it, and go through the snaggy little bits and come up with a plan. But I really look forward to it. But how do you think it's going to work out then, the garden? What's going to be the hardest parts?
No, I think with the garden, it's one of the things. It's because it's quite a radial design.
Yeah.
Everything stems from the middle, and it's just making sure that everything runs round. And the thing with show gardens is you can you want, at first glance, you want the detail to be right, but there's certain things that you can get away with.
Yeah.
For instance, when I was talking about the patio that we did, where we've had to sort of relift a bit and relay it. With that, at first glance, that looked absolutely spot on. But then all of a sudden, we had a massive downpour of rain, and then it held a bit of water.
Yeah.
So, and that were an overtime thing. So you don't have to worry about those initial issues. So getting the installation right, that's going to be a quite simple. But making sure everything's set out, and because we've got those big, nice cotton steel, pillars going in. So making sure that they're at a 45-degree angle to that radial circle and completely set out back on, and making sure they're structurally sound, where they're not suddenly, if someone leans on it, it's not going to topple over.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like show gardens. So, like, as it stands, they're not built to last. They're built for the show.
Exactly.
So it's just like rewiring your brain a little bit and saying, okay, I need to build this. It needs to be quick. It needs to hold the show, and it needs to look amazing. So it's kind of like slightly different to your daily approach, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. In our daily approach, it's like, this needs to last years. It needs to look good. It's just different. No, I think it'll be really interesting. At least, being your first one, your first show garden. You've got a great team behind you, as in your own team. You've got Adam coming. You've got me, and hopefully we're going to come with three of us to help, and it should be good, really.
Yeah, well, I think that's the good thing about it. It's like with with social media these days, you can watch someone or watch a company do something, like you mentioned, Broad Landscape.
Yeah.
The amount of lads who have seen some of his stuff and said, "Oh, John, can we do that?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, how the hell am I going to do that?"
Just say no. This guy, he's just a league of his own.
Yeah, he's a bloody magician.
But,
that's the thing. It's I'm looking forward to. There's always so many different ways to do something.
Yes.
And I like to sort of see other people's thought processes and how they're going to build it. And I think that's why tomorrow we'll have a talk through the step by step, because like with the show garden, there's no room for error.
No.
There's when it's just got to be like clockwork.
Yeah. Pines and everything.
time is everything. You can't afford to take a step back.
Yeah.
You've just got, and you know, I'm quite interested to sort of see how, not just that as well, but how other people work and how they sort of function and tick, like with you guys. So yeah, no, I think as a first show garden, to make it a collaborative project where, you know, we're all three of us doing, I think it'll be quite a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be fun. Lily, that garden, can you show us that garden again?
Yeah, so the one I'm showing you is the Nurture Landscapes Garden by Sarah Price.
Like
I've also got Mark Gregory right behind me as well, which I know John.
Sure. Go on, get Mark Gregory to do a shout out. Go on.
Landscapers Live.
Well, John and I are going to the young person's breakfast on Friday.
Yeah.
And part of that is we get to go onto the gardens afterwards.
Oh, nice.
And actually meet all the designers. So
this is my favourite. Like,
yeah,
I've been watching.
This is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the planting that bowl, and I spotted it. Yeah, it's really lovely. And the irises, a lot of irises in that one.
Loads of irises. Yes, and only a few varieties as well.
But in repeat, I love them.
Just so delicate.
Yeah, the colours are so like intense, aren't they? I like that garden.
Yeah, that's a nice garden.
I've seen that one actually.
It won gold, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. Is that the Mark Gregory one?
So this is the Mark Gregory one.
I've seen that one.
Them plates are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude.
These will be featuring in our garden.
Can you see mine?
I can.
They're only small, but they'll get there.
These are so full.
Yeah, they are.
It's unbelievable. They're incredible.
Wow.
But then behind this, you've got a full kitchen. So behind these shutters right here, there's my finger. He's actually got some ovens that open up, and during the day, they cook for the Chelsea pensioners. So you can actually, it's raining, it's snowing pollen on me. But here you can see one of the Chelsea pensioners' hats just hung up. And so he's feeding 8 Chelsea pensioners every day. And then you can see them here just redecorating the central bowl with flowers. But what's wonderful is this. I think this is really cool. So Mark Gregory's done a lot of work with Jekka's herbs.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of, she was on the garden helping do this, but look at those broad beans, and then it's kind of a vegetable patch to die for, but look at that fruit tree.
Yeah.
But you've also got a little rill, and I'll just go around to show you, which has got wasabi and watercress growing in it.
I've seen it unravel, this garden, so it's quite nice to see it live.
Yeah, I've been following it on Instagram as well, and you watch it and you think, oh my, and it'll say like 3 days to go, and you see how much work there's still to go, and you think, oh my God, how are they going to do it?
And that wall, they built it in like 2 days, that brick wall.
Yeah.
Mate, I was like, I love the little, you know where the kitchen is, the metal poles, the little, how do you call that? Like little veranda?
Yeah.
Type thingy. That is just so me. It's so south of France, you know. And the fig, and it's just a beautiful garden, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks
I mean, how many Chelsea flower show did he won? Like 150 or something like that?
I don't know how many he's done. I believe he got silver gilt for this garden.
Okay.
That one. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to say the wrong thing here. This one's quite an interesting one. It's the Samaritan's Listen Garden, but I think it ties a few parallels in with what John and I are doing on the BBC Gardeners World one with the cracks.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's really emotive what they've done with that paving there, and actually the angles. So this here,
I've seen this one as well. With it looks like concrete pieces of I've seen this one. It's beautiful,
really
isn't it?
Cool. But then just all the lines as well.
Yeah, and the quartet arch.
Yes, and there's a lot of Corton
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, Corten. In the last year and a half, I priced up so much Corten. It's unbelievable. I want to do stained steel.
What you're actually seeing, oh, there's Eric Anderson. And and Tatian Hayden Smith as well. So this tiny garden that you saw before was actually designed by Tatian Hayden Smith here, who is wonderful. I was actually on a panel with him at the House of Lords last week talking about young people in horticulture. But he runs his own CIC in London, trying to encourage more green spaces into the city as well. So really powerful what he's doing. This here is the entomology garden.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the backdrop here as well.
Look at that.
Like where they've got the gabions here as well, and then the woodwork.
Yeah, it looks so cool.
Everything's just like top notch in it at Chelsea. And the amount of people involved, it's just amazing, isn't it? It's just like pure love of passion of the industry put in one place. It's crazy.
And talking of love as well, this exact plot was where I got proposed to this time last year.
Oh, look at you.
So talking about my other half in the industry as well. This was actually the same plot where the Perennial Garden was last year.
Oh, wow.
And so Richard Mears designed, it was very clean. It's definitely a garden that's up John Street, I think, in terms of lots of stone and beautiful beds as well. I mean, it's up my street as well. It was a beautiful garden. And what was lovely was that it was called With Love.
Yeah.
So Jack organised in 48 hours a proposal there. I think this one's just so cool because you've got the wildlife as well as that crazy dome with loads of educational materials in there as well. Giant beehive.
Yay.
I'm almost at the end of Main Avenue here as well. You've also got the garden here, which is a showcase feature garden, designed by Manoj Maldi.
I've seen the
which is
one with the coloured patterns.
Yeah.
Yes. And he actually got married on here on Monday. Sorry, you were going to say that, weren't you, John?
Yeah, you beat me to it.
No, it's been really nice for you to show us the Chelsea. I've actually really enjoyed, having a chat about it, about the John's Garden coming up soon as well. So it's kind of putting us in how do you say, inspired, isn't it? You kind of get inspired. You're like, I can do this, I can do that. But yeah, I think a lot of fantastic designers putting those gardens together, and it's unbelievable to see the creation of them done by beautiful landscapers, beautiful people in plants. I mean, the planting team, to make it look so settled like that, everyone involved just got a special skill, haven't they? And it's just nice to see. So, no, definitely looking forward to ours, John, mate. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with show gardens is, you're not dealing with a budget like you are with clients.
Yeah.
You don't have restrictions. You're not having to work to step heights, and you're not having to work to fencing that, fences that's already in and different levels. It's a blank canvas.
Yeah, it's full blank canvas, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, look at that. You're never going to be able to design that for a client, are you? Get sculptures like that in a garden.
Yeah.
There's also a hobbit hole just opposite.
I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
I love that. I always wanted a hobbit hole.
Yeah, looks amazing. At least your garden's big enough for one, though.
Oh, yeah, I can put one. I can definitely do one. Look at that. I got trampoline. Get rid of that, put a hobbit hole.
Yeah.
Fine. You know what we need to do? Let's just say, John, put it out on the live. Let's do a garden next year.
Yeah.
Chelsea is on, baby.
I like
Let's do it. Lily, you can sort it out. We'll just come and do the work.
Lily,
John, you can design it.
I've already got Lily's clipboard for her for the BBC garden.
We've got it.
So Lily's the project manager for that.
Exactly.
She'll keep us on the straight and narrow.
And that's it. So really looking forward to meeting you in real life on the BBC Gardeners World project.
I still can't believe we've actually not met in real life.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Because I don't know. I've been kind of like in my own little bubble for the last 10 years. You know, I've been just running my business flat out, and now it's time for me to get involved with a lot more. So yeah, looking forward to meeting you. Thanking you for showing us Chelsea and still showing us Chelsea. Is beautiful, isn't it? You're making us very envious. Can you show us where you are, John, please?
I'm currently sat in a pub car park and I can pub car park about a stone throw away from the job I've just finished. So, Lily, I spoke to Lily before the call, and she's showing me where she is, and I'm still in the garden getting the last paver down and doing my last coat.
It's the typical landscaper's life, mate.
Well, that's the thing, though. When the weather's like this and it's beautiful, you just can't pack tools up at 4 o'clock and go.
I'll try to explain that to my wife.
Yeah.
And she's so pissed off. She's like, "But you got kids," and I'm like, "I know, but like, you know, like it just feels so wrong leaving at 4:30. It just feels so wrong,
especially with the bad weather we have. When you get weather like this, it feels like you've got to make the most of it.
And the days go so fast. But actually, that being said, and this is good for my mental health and for my wife's mental health, I did the first school pickup. Not ever. I've done it before, but I didn't like.
It's funny, isn't it, when you have a bloke. I went back to my partner yesterday and I said, "Did you notice that I emptied the recycling bin?"
No, but mate, like I said to Jess, because she had to go at me because I'm finishing really late every night.
You've also just got an oi from Jess, by the way.
Oh shit. Oi. And I said to my wife, I said, "Listen, I will pick up the kids once a week on a Wednesday on the podcast day, so like that I can." And you know what I did? I picked up the kids, and I drove past. I saw one of the mums had a flat tire. Changed her tire. She was a lucky lady. And then I went to the pub with the kids, and I fed them at the pub, the playground. So no, it was really nice. Like I need to start doing that for my family as well. So no, it's been a good Wednesday. Thank you, Lily, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for everything you're doing with the BBC Garden Show. And thank you, John, as well, for coming on again. And thank you for inviting us to get involved with your beautiful projects. And I'll be posting a load of shit, I'm not going to lie. Like, I love Instagram, so it's going to go.
Well, anything we post is all about, in our eyes, raising the profile of Perennial, the charity.
So we're going to work on that, definitely work on that. And get some high-vis. I need to get some high-vis, man. I don't have no high-vis. So high-vis is, do we have to wear helmets?
Not helmets, but I've got got high-vis organised for everyone.
Wicked, nice one.
So, yeah.
I got a yellow T-shirt. I don't know if that's going to cut the mustard, mate.
Yeah, no, I've got everyone high-vises.
Wicked. That's good, man.
That'd be good.
Well, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you for coming on, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, Lily, for showing us Chelsea. Enjoy the last of Chelsea. And just tell Chelsea that John and Els are going to be there next year. Just tell Chelsea. I don't know who you have to say.
They're coming.
They're coming.
They're coming. With a bang. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.